Jason, it's a pleasure to meet you and to be able to present you with this year's award for the entrepreneurship category, recognizing the strengths and popularity of your case TikTok's AI strategy, ByteDance's global ambitions. Um, could we start off perhaps by just asking you what the case is about, and perhaps you could share that with our viewers?
Sure, happy to. And thank you very much for the opportunity and for the award. It's really wonderful to receive the recognition. Uh, this case really is about this company who came out of nowhere, ByteDance, who I think I can tell you, those of us who study tech companies, both in the US and China and elsewhere, we weren't really talking about them 2 years ago. And all of a sudden, they hit the scene, both because of the political angle I think that happened, but also because of what the company is doing, the TikTok app and their interesting use of technology and creating this really vibrant user base of creators. It really became a case that students wanted to know more about. And yet there was a big gap. There weren't good cases. In fact, there weren't even so many good writings about TikTok that you could give the students. So it was just an opportunity to pull together everything we knew about the company, and I think present its interesting strategy to the students. And I think really what ended up happening is very soon in writing the case, we realized that this was a case about an interesting company, but really about a trend around artificial intelligence and how it's being used to really create these interesting platforms of user-generated content. And so it was really an opportunity not just to teach about ByteDance and TikTok, but this more broader trend we see in the economy about AI and creators.
TikTok and AI are kind of a generational issue. Do you find that the case plays better with younger students or differently with younger students than with exec ed programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely the MBA. So I teach a number of different types of participants, from MBAs all the way up to senior execs and board members even sometimes. And so you're right. I've used it in all of these arenas. And of course, with the MBA students, they've all heard of TikTok. Many of them are TikTok creators already. So the barrier is quite low. You just say, we're going to discuss the strategy, and they already know TikTok quite well. That has not been true with executives. Often executives haven't heard of this, or at least they don't know what it is. They've heard vaguely about it. Or at least I will say that was the case a year and a half ago. Things have changed dramatically, I'd say, in the past 6 months, maybe with the political news coming out of the US, but just the prominence of the app. I'm even finding that, older executives, with a lot more gray hair now know what TikTok is. The challenge, of course, is what do we do about this trend? How do we think about it? Is there any way we can take advantage of it, for our company? And that's really the gap that I try to use the case in executive education more as a springboard to allow, the company to think about AIs, less the TikTok, the app itself.
Terrific. It's really good that it has that spread of audience. That works well. And I guess that's one of the things that makes it popular around the world. Have you had any feedback from educators who've adopted the case?
Yeah, I have. The feedback's been interesting. Of course, in some sense, it was lucky to develop a case in which the company became so important and so even politically consequential, which I think that broadened the audience very quickly. But the feedback I get often about the case is it's great to drill into the strategic issues of the company and the competitors. I think most people view TikTok as just a cool app and it's popular, and we can see why that is. But what about the company? If you had these AI capabilities, what opportunities would it open up to you? How do competitors like Facebook and Google and Alibaba and Tencent, how do they think about an app like TikTok? So I think the feedback I have is that focusing on the strategy behind the technology company has given it a unique angle. The other unique angle I think that is catching hold is, investigating big tech companies in Asia. There still are less cases than we would like about these companies, given how important they're becoming. So I had previously written cases about Gojek and Alibaba and Grab, and to try to fill this gap. But definitely with ByteDance, I think something took hold here, and I think people are appreciating having cases that aren't just the usual suspects of Amazon and Google and Tesla. Having these cases outside of the U.S. For technology in particular, I think has filled a gap.
Now, many people are interested in knowing more about what goes on behind the scenes of writing a great case like this. Could you share something about the writing process and how it went and how it worked working in a team to produce the case?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess my perspective is case writing is definitely its own activity, and you can slowly build capabilities around this, and those capabilities are definitely team-based, at least in the way that we do it at INSEAD. So I was fortunate to have two great partners on this, Ann Yang and Min Vo. So we have a professional case writer and Ann, and then Min Vo, a PhD student. And I think having that team of a professor who's going to be pushed to teach this very soon, with a professional case writer who's so good at helping us pull together information and resources, and then a PhD student who's actively engaged in research around these topics, that just ended up being a killer team in some sense, because we all had a different perspective. We're all looking at it from a slightly different way. So it kind of helps you to bring together, a more complex, I think, and richer set of information in the case. The process we took is probably not too dissimilar from, I think, other case writers and case researchers. Really what you're trying to do in a case is not necessarily describe everything, because that would be too difficult and you couldn't fit it in the 20, 30 pages that you're allowed. But much more to focus in on some juicy problem or puzzle. And that takes some discipline, that takes some courage, because you may feel that everyone would want me to talk about X, but I don't want to talk about X. I want to focus on Y. For this case, it was focusing on AI, and that was a choice. There were many other things we could have focused on. I think it makes for a better case. It makes for something that the reader and the participant can really, kind of get their teeth into. So I guess the insight that I came out of it is be willing to be more courageous. If there's a story that you think people need to hear, be willing to just focus the case on that story. You don't need to say everything about the context, but the focus, I think, is really what makes a case insightful when it is. Yeah.
I just want to congratulate you again on winning this award. Thank you very much for being so open and sharing so much about the secrets behind the case and how it works. And I hope that the award is something that will help you in your future writing career.
Thanks so much, Richard, and everyone at Case Center, everyone involved. We really appreciate the process and the great work that you do. And yeah, I hope the readers will find it useful. And I look forward to reading others, very interesting cases. It's just a great way for us to learn about the world of management and organization. So thanks again.